Hi, I'm Bob Curry, President Curry Management Consultants. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about this process of dealerization, something that all manufacturers concern themselves with, and by extension all dealers. Dealerization really is about this issue of how many owners, how many locations, what does the distribution organization look like, and it does bring in such issues as operational characteristics, what we're looking for in distribution, a more centralized or decentralized process. There are obviously some steps that need to be applied, and they're pretty universal. First, we need to do some kind of market analysis, an understanding of where the demand is and the concentration of that demand. For example, in the US, there's over 3,000 counties, but 250 counties are 40% of general industrial demand. 600 counties are 70% of industrial demand. So what we're looking to do is to map those so that we understand that concentration and can build the plan around that. The first thing is this market concentration issue, followed by an understanding of the buying characteristics of companies. Do the end users actually come to a location and buy product or service, or do they expect to be served by a field salesperson and field service reps? So what do those buying characteristics look like? And the third element is, what are the logistics that we have to deal with? Traffic in LA, Chicago, Atlanta is much more severe than in some other cities, so we often overlay highway maps on the distribution plan to facilitate the logistics process. That leads us to developing the plan. It's a pretty straightforward issue of understanding what the market share at maturity looks like and what's the revenue expected. Thus, we can plan on the capital required in distribution, the sales reps that are required, the service technicians, and how we get from where we are to that number. A lot of this is pretty straightforward, but we like to bring in our experience. We've done distribution studies in the US, in Europe, in Asia, and there are a couple of things that experience has taught us to be real careful of. For example, one is this whole issue of inline competition. Inline competition tends to not allow us to make penetration of competitive manufacturers, but just share customers among our group. If we are going to do inline competition, my suggestion might be go all the way. Don't have 2 dealers in competition, have 4 or 5, forcing them to go find new customers. And we also find that in dealerization studies, it puts more emphasis on working the major markets and concentrating in those major markets. So there are a lot of factors that go into distribution analysis and this dealerization process. I want to go back to, remember how a lot of this started, for example, with Budweiser. When they first came to this marketplace, their distribution really centered on the radius around which a team of horses could carry a wagon load of beer. Well, in the modern world, I think we've got to get beyond the Budweiser simplicity and into the more complex issues of how we serve markets, how we use internet, and get beyond the Budweiser approach into a more modern, complete approach. You have a problem with dealerization, you have some concerns about how the dealer organization should be structured, how many dealers, give us a call. It's information that we deal with every day.